All right. Hello there, internet audience. McBadass here. Joining me today is Bonechip, the state champ, who just got back from Worlds. He's a good battle buddy of mine who continuously kicks my ass over and over again. Most of the time.
Mostly. Not all the time.
But he's joining me here today, and we are going to discuss the Jungle Cup meta.
It's pretty cool because there's a lot of fun, unique normal types that are in the cup. And like we were talking about on the way over here, there's one normal type in particular that basically rules this cup completely.
The Vigoroth.
Yeah, Vigoroth. Yeah, that little counter-punching, body-slamming boy, he's pretty good, as it turns out. Fun fact, Vigoroth is pretty good.
As being kind of the meta-defining Pokemon, a lot of people have also been talking about Noctowl, and you said you had kind of some opinions about why you think that is, because he doesn't directly counter Vigoroth.
Right. So the way the Vigoroth and Noctowl matchup works is, at best, given the right IVs, Noctowl ties in a couple shield situations and loses the one shield, I'm pretty sure, with Vigoroth. So Noctowl doesn't counter Vigoroth. It doesn't. That's not what it's for. But the reason that I think Noctowl is so important in this cup is because of Vigoroth. And that might sound stupid, but let me explain. So if you look at the list of Vigoroth counters, you're going to notice, hopefully, you're going to notice something about them, and that is every single one of them, 100% of them, are extremely vulnerable to flying types. And the best flying type around for this cup is Noctowl. So given that Vigoroth is probably going to be on every team, I would say, every team that's really trying to win.
Well, especially considering how short after the Slackoth Community Day this
right, I know, everyone's going to have one. You're going to have access to probably a good one for this cup. So anyways, Vigoroth is going to be everywhere. Deservedly so, it's really good. And so Vigoroth counters, hopefully, are going to be on pretty much every team, which means that Noctowl's value goes through the roof. Because Noctowl beats every single Vigoroth counter, and it is not close. Noctowl demolishes all of them. So basically, Vigoroth's presence and his counters make Noctowl super, super valuable. I think that if Vigoroth were not in this cup, Noctowl would definitely be further down the list. It's still a great Pokemon, obviously, especially given that Grass and Bug are part of this cup. It does great against them, but its value is that you have to bring Vigoroth counters, and it kills them all. It's kind of a bummer to me that Vigoroth is so meta-defining. And I think his strength, more than anything, is that there's two what I would call hard counters to him, and really one, in my opinion. Heracross is pretty much the only real hard counter, because it beats it in all shield scenarios. You don't have to use charge moves, you can just punch it until it dies with your own counters. But yeah, so there's a very, very limited set of things that counter Vigoroth. So, and they're, except for, like I said, one or two, they're not hard counters. So if you can swap in your Vigoroth, you're almost guaranteed to get at least 2 body slams off, which do approximately infinite damage, in case you were wondering. Is that about right?
pretty near unlimited, yeah.
Yeah,
and it's also, in some of the practice rounds that I've done with Vigoroth, it's also really easy to stack up just multiple body slams. You're like, oh, all right, next thing coming in is getting body slammed at least 3 times.
Yeah, it's absurd how quickly it gets to body slam. And another point that we didn't discuss is that it makes almost literally every other normal type unusable because it beats them. It beats all the normal types because counter exists.
Right.
So, you know, I was excited to use some weird normal types. I wanted so badly to use Girafarig in a cup. One of my favorite Pokemon, and it's just not good enough. It's just not. It's so, I mean, it made me so sad, but it's just, you know, all the other normal types, like Munchlax would have been amazing in this cup, except Vigoroth. You know, there's just so many things that would have been incredibly fun and interesting picks that Vigoroth makes it so it's just dumb. It's just not a good idea. Yeah, so we didn't talk about specifically Vigoroth counters, but you've got things, Scizzor's pretty good. Actually, that one might be close. Venusaur does a decent job. Venomoth does a good job. Let's see, Beedrill beats it. Heracross, Breloom. Let's see, Masquerain actually beats it, which is very interesting, and I've been looking at Masquerain for a long time because it has both 2 charge moves that can give it the boost, and also it's weird looking, and I'm a fan of weird looking Pokemon, as evidenced by my fanboydom of Girafarig. So there you go. Dustox and Venomoth, I don't know if I talked about them here as well. They do great against Vigoroth. Double resist, the counter, and then Confusion does, again, approximately infinite damage. It's a pretty good move.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And then also if you have, either like Legacy moves or Fury Cutter, you can also be spamming charge moves pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Because all those are pretty quick charging with like the 33 energy moves and that.
Yep.
Which is always fun. Love getting that shield bait out early.
For sure. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I like Beedrill. That was also another pick that was very, very close to making it on my team for Worlds. Because Poison Jab, it's not the highest charging energy move, but it charges really, really quickly, and you have access to X Scissors, so you get moves off so fast on Beedrill, and a lot of times if your opponents are either inexperienced with it or just get nervous, they'll shield, and it's good thing for you if they're shielding on Beedrill, because you're probably just going to get to another one just like that. So.
Right. Are there any veteran Pokemon returning from previous cups that you think will probably behave differently in the jungle meta?
So Alolan Graveler and Alolan Golem are coming back. They were sort of, you know, decent off-brand picks in Tempest Cup, because they were pretty good against the Flyers there, and then the Rock moves were good against Ice. Obviously, there's not very many Ice types. There's probably not any Ice types in this cup, I don't think. Normal ice, is that a thing? I don't think so.
I don't think there's any ice.
So that obviously is functioning a little differently, but the bug types are here now, and rock moves make bugs very sad. They squish them completely, smoosh the bugs using the rocks. And so for the last cup, I believe Graveler was the preferred of the Geodude line, but I think in this one Golem's a little bit better. Because it gets access to Wild Charge as opposed to Thunderbolt. Its stat spread is a little worse. It's a little more attack heavy than Graveler, I believe, but having access to Wild Charge it's just a vastly superior move to Thunderbolt.
One Pokemon in particular that I'm almost frustrated is still in the top meta is Venusaur, because Venusaur,
it's just everywhere.
Venusaur was pretty much like arguably the strongest grass type in the Rainbow Cup, and it's kind of looking like it's likely.
I don't know if it was arguable. I think it was just straight up the best.
Okay.
To be honest, like for me, one of the things that I value really highly is flexibility in my picks. So if you've got a Razor Leafer, that's great. It mows through whatever it runs into, but that's all it does, and then it dies. But with Venusaur, a lot of times you can farm up a little extra energy, you could get an extra Frenzy Plant off, which, again, approximately infinite damage.
Right.
That move hurts a lot.
Yeah.
And then it had access to Sludge Bomb, which could hurt Charizard, it could hurt, I mean, basically everything else in the cup as well.
Except for, like, I think probably the only like strong enough counter pick for Venusaur was probably Fortress.
Which is another thing that we actually haven't talked about. According to pvpoke.com, shout outs to them, they are my Bible. I go on there for hours and hours and hours every week, just studying matchups, trying to figure things out. Fortress is their #1 pick for the Jungle Cup, their #1 rated pick, I should say. And I disagree. I think Vigoroth is by far the hardest thing to deal with, but they're not wrong in that Fortress is super, super strong in this cup. Again.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it does double, well, no. It takes neutral damage from counters, but it does resist body slam damage,
Yes.
which is kind of rare in this cup.
Right. But yeah, Fortress is great. Noctowl is a sort of soft counter to it. There's basically, with Fortress, again, there's not a lot of hard counters, except for, again, the Graveler duo. They pretty thoroughly whoop it, unless you somehow get shield advantage late in the match, and you can get all the way to Earthquake. Actually, that's not true. You can use Heavy Slam against them and for neutral damage, which is really surprisingly powerful move. A lot of people didn't run Heavy Slam during Rainbow.
Well, and I think probably the reason for that is specifically just because Fire counters Fortress so hard.
Right.
And Heavy Slam is useless against that.
Yeah, it was not great. My Fortress that I ran actually did have Heavy Slam. And when I say I ran Fortress, what I mean is it was on my team the whole time. I did not touch that thing in my Rainbow Cup, but it didn't matter, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I won that one, so yeah, I live and learn. But it's a very good pick in this cup as well.
Well, and also it's a funny thing that you mentioned, like non-used picks, is that like I find that within the competitive scene in Pokemon, even just having like a Scarecrow on your team can sometimes have the same effect as actually fully utilizing that Pokemon.
Oh, absolutely.
If people know, like, oh, I gotta watch out for that Fortress, like, and you know they're gonna try to counterpick it, you don't even have to use it, just for them to like try and work around it.
There's a few things that I still want to mention though.
Oh, okay.
First being Magnezone. This is the first cup that Magnezone has been allowed in, I think, because it wasn't in Pokemon Go until this cup. And a lot of people, especially those with Legacy Magneton, are probably just like, whatever, it's the same exact thing. And it functions a little bit differently than Magneton. So Magneton is all about charging up super fast and discharging you approximately infinite times until you're dead. But Magnezone's a little bit differently because it has Spark, it doesn't have Thundershock, and it has Wild Charge as opposed to Discharge. So Wild Charge is a superior move, in my opinion. Not by a lot. Discharge is extremely strong, extremely powerful, but I think Wild Charge is a better move. And then Spark, while it doesn't get nearly as much energy as Thundershock, it actually does damage. So you can actually whittle things down a little bit with your Magnezone and maybe save that energy for the next matchup. I've been using it in my practice battles, and I'm very biased because I have a shiny one with good PvP IVs. Ooh. It's like $14.97, and I'm just like, I gotta use it.
Yeah.
I can't not use it. It's too nice to have. Right. And it does extremely well against all the flyers, very obviously. It does decently well against a lot of the grass types because of its steel type. And then it does well against the bugs because of the steel type. Basically, you have to look out for Vigoroth, and that's most of the list of things that are super scary for it. I mean, there's other things that beat it, but in terms of top meta, Vigoroth is almost the only thing that really scares it.
I have really been wanting to use Breloom specifically just because they had that like limited time event where they're like, hey, you can get Grass Knot for your Breloom.
Yeah, so even during that event, I was like, man, I don't think it's better. I think it's worse. And not because Grass Knot is a bad move, because Grass Knot is a move that very few Pokemon have access to that are meta relevant, so people don't really know about it. Grass Knot is absurd. That move does so much damage for the energy. It's ridiculous. If you paid attention to Worlds at all, you know that Linoon made an appearance, and it's because Linoon has Shadow Claw and Grass Knot, and also Thunder. That helped it against Skarmory as well. But having Grass Knot come quickly with those Shadow Claws made it an incredibly strong pick. So Grass Knot gets my A+. However, Seed Bomb costs less energy. It does way less damage, but it costs less energy. Since Breloom dies, basically vaporizes against most things,
Right.
you really need to get to your charge move as fast as you can. Otherwise, you don't get to your charge move at all.
Right.
So that's why I don't know that having Grass Knot is worth it on Breloom. It's something that I might test a little bit because Grass Knot, like I said, is stupid good. It does so much damage. It's one of the reasons why Cradilly, the fossil grass boy, which is another pick that we haven't really talked about. It's kind of a funky one, but it's got Infestation, Grass Knot, and
Stone Edge.
Is it Stone Edge? Okay. I knew it had some rock moves. So it has really, really strong moves, but it also has a really pretty bad typing defensively. It's weak to basically all the things, sadly. But Grass Knot, again, super good move, so it's something to consider. I don't know if we talked about Vespiquen. That's another new pick.
Yeah. New
so,
meta.
yeah, Vespiquen is one that I've been kind of excited to use for a long time because I know from the original series of games, it was always impossible to find and not that great, but kind of tanky and interesting to use. And I was like, tanky and interesting to use. That sounds like Pokemon Go PvP material.
Yeah, I was gonna say tanky and not all that good. Hey, that sounds.
Yeah, that's
good.
perfect. Yeah, and it's good in this pick. Bug Bite and X Scissor, you get those bug moves going really, really fast. It's great against Venusaur. I believe it beats Vigoroth in all shield scenarios. Not by a lot, again, because Vigoroth, but it does win in all shield scenarios. And then
I'd say it's also probably worth noting the fact that it has access to Power Gem. So
I was gonna say that.
It can defend itself from
other bugs.
Other bugs and also
Flyers.
What is it? The Noctowl.
Noctowl, yeah, any flying type. The problem is Power Gem sucks. It's not a great move, but if you manage to finish somebody off and store a bunch of energy, it's still going to do great damage against other bugs and flyers. So that's one that I'm definitely looking at for this cup. There is one Pokemon I want to discuss, and I unfortunately don't think it's going to be good, but it's neat that it's even remotely usable, and that is Dunsparce.
Oh my god.
Dunsparce is almost, it's so close to being a pick. It's so close to being a pick in this one. The problem is the quick moves that it has just aren't, they just don't fit its kit, and it makes me so sad because it has Rock Slide, which is undeniably an amazing move in this game in any situation. And since there's tons of bugs and flyers around, awesome, even better. And then it also has Drill Run, which is, again, an okay charge move, but given that ground type moves will be good against your Alolan Gravelers, against Magneton, against Lantern, of all the electric types, obviously, that's great. So it has Rock Slide and Drill Run, and I can already hear the people saying, oh my god, this thing's gonna be amazing. The problem is its quick moves are Astonish, which is one of the worst. It's so bad. And Bite. Now, Bite has had its place. It's been good in the past, but it does not give you energy at all. Like, it's so slow for energy games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's definitely like a DPS fast move that doesn't really do much for energy.
So if Dunsparce had a move that gave him even like 3 energy per turn, 2.5 energy per turn, I think Dunsparce would be really, really good. And I'm so sad because it's such a weird. I really do have a soft spot for just weird Pokemon. And I love Dunsparce, and it's so derpy and dumb and strange, and it's just this close to being amazing, but its quick moves just hold it back too much. I think
That seems pretty
that's
comprehensive.
pretty decent. I'm sure the both of us, we love talking about Pokemon, in particular this PvP scene. We could probably talk for another hour or two or
It's
five.
true.
But, you know, fair enough for another day, right?
Right. But yeah, thanks for coming out. I appreciate
Absolutely.
your time.
Yeah, definitely. It's
And
been good.
yeah, I will see y'all around, and you'll probably be seeing this guy in more of my tournament videos because he likes kicking my ass. So see y'all next time.